Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 81. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaren Will each and every week, and we are going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
What's half of 11?
5.5.
5.5. Round it down.
5.
We're talking about 5 teams today because we talked about 6 teams last week. We are still in the same outfits, so don't judge us too much. Haven't done laundry. So, this is the only thing we had.
We just
conveniently put on.
No. What we did is we did laundry already.
Yeah. Well, we did laundry after last episode, but then all our clothes were worn in the last week, and so we were like,
this is all that's left. Yeah.
The exact same thing. So we are going to be talking about 5 of our teams. Last week we talked about Ball State, Butler, Evansville, IU, Indiana State, and IU Indy. So if you are looking for us to be talking about one of those teams today, you are in the wrong place. Please scroll down in your feed and click on that episode 80, where we talk about Ball State, Butler, Evansville, IU, Indiana State, and IU Indy. Today we are going to be talking about Notre Dame, Purdue Fort Wayne, Southern Indiana, and Valpo. So if you're here for one of those teams, you are in the right place, my friend. But at the end of the day, you're here with us, you're in the right place.
This is a missed opportunity. They're in the right place here with us, but they're just in the wrong episode.
Yeah.
You are in the wrong episode.
Adam and Jaren.
You have the wrong episode in your ears right now. Or on your eyes, I guess, if you're watching on YouTube.
Watch on mute on YouTube. Just the eyes with closed captions on.
Or on mute on YouTube, on audio, on Spotify.
That'd be crazy. Okay.
Pump the numbers.
I know, Jaren, that we will have made it when someone watches us on Apple Vision. The Apple Vision Pro.
But how do we
How do we know? I want to be in the living room with them. I want to be there.
That's a compelling enough reason for me to buy Apple Vision Pros just to watch us.
Oh yeah, that's the craziest thing. You want to be in the living room with me and you. You're already there, man. You're living it.
But think about the experience. Think about the immersion.
Have you seen
player study film? Am I now allowed to study film?
Have you seen that picture? And it's like what it's like listening to a podcast, and it's like a kid sitting next to a poster of 4 kids. It's like that is what the Apple Vision Pro would be like, but on steroids.
Yeah, but just think about am I not allowed to? A man can't study film. I can't learn.
No, that's what our unpaid intern's for. Listen, I had to go back and
how many mistakes are untrained.
I had to go back and listen to our season preview episode last year.
Why did you go back and listen?
I wanted to because not everything was written down. I wanted to hear all the things that we said. No, sorry, not this last year. Like our first episode ever. I listened to our first episode ever, and I was like, yeah, that was rough. We've come a long way. Just like our power rankings have come a long way. So we'll talk about them. But first, shameless self-plug. Our merch is live. State of Basketball merch is out. We've got hats. We've got shirts. We've got socks, mugs,
totes,
Hawaiian
tote
shirts.
bags.
Did your Hawaiian shirt come yet?
It did.
It's packed.
It's in my it's in my laundry basket. I gotta wash it before we go.
I gotta see it before I get out of here today.
Yeah.
We've got anything under the sun almost. We had an awesome testimonial type, not a testimonial, but an awesome case of when a hat isn't enough, you have to get 2 on our last episode. So if you want to hear about that, check out episode 80. Check out the link in our bio. It's on our link tree. It's State of Basketball merch. Shipping's pretty quick. It comes to you. It's nice quality. Like, got a nice Adidas polo that I will be wearing. If you're watching this, I was already wearing it. I was already wearing it by the time you're watching this.
Oh yeah,
on the golf trip. So
if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're currently watching us live on TikTok, That's
your secrets.
That's some inception.
Yeah.
Because we are currently living in the present, but also the future at the same time,
dude.
And they're experiencing the whole thing in real time. Yeah.
Okay, so our merch is out. Please go pick up some merch. But if you like to drink coffee, you can drink it out of a State of Basketball mug with Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters on the other side, which means that Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters, as you know, is our sponsor of the Power Rankings for season 1. For this season, we will evaluate the contract for season 2. We might have a new presenting sponsor, but let's talk about our Power Rankings, Jaren. Just you talked about them in depth a little bit last time. Let's just rip through what's 1 through 11, and then on the preseason, and then where they finished on the postseason.
Okay, so our Power Rankings preseason, we had Indiana at number 1, Purdue at number 2. Purdue Fort Wayne at number 3. Number 4 was Butler. Number 5 was Notre Dame. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. Number 6 was Ball State. I was more like an orchestra conductor. Number 7 was IU Indy. Number 8 was Valpo. 9 was Southern Indiana. 10 was Indiana State. 11 was Evansville. That was our preseason.
Yep.
So postseason, where did everyone end up after they played their seasons?
Wrong? I don't know. Tell me, Jaren.
Purdue was number 1. They finished number 1.
Duh.
Number 2 was Indiana. Number 3 was Butler. Number 4 was Purdue Fort Wayne. Number 5 was Notre Dame, the only team that ended where they started. Number 6 was Indiana State. Number 7 was Valpo. Number 8 was Ball State. Number 9 was Evansville. Number 10 was IU Indy. 11 was Southern Indiana. So one team stayed the same. Others, some moved up, some moved down, some swapped. But we will talk about that later. Sorry, we already talked about that. You can go back and listen to our last episode, and you can kind of hear why, what those major changes are, or you can just rewind 30 seconds and write them down and follow up. But again, those power rankings were sponsored by Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters. You can get 15% off every order using promo code TSOB.
I said an idea.
Yes. What was your idea?
And the timing of it doesn't make sense because
naturally,
if you're listening to this and not watching it live on TikTok, it will have already happened. We should get some coffee sent to us where we're going for our golf trip while we're there and leave it. Because they're not going to throw the coffee away. But it doesn't have our merch on it. Sorry, you got to send it yourself. Crow's Nest, you got to sponsor it for us.
Unless we have in the next week
a State Basketball brew.
We get a brew that has our logo on it.
Let's leave a sticker on it. Magnet on their fridge. Magnet on their fridge. Don't forget. Let's pack the magnets tonight.
Okay. All right. So, as you know, we were starting with Notre Dame today.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to really explain the format. We explained it on the last episode, but we're just pretty much going to talk about.
Just join us. You'll figure it out. You'll figure out the format.
Yeah, you'll pick it.
Be along for the
pick
ride.
up on it. So Adam.
Yes.
Notre Dame,
located in South Bend in the ACC. They are in a conference, folks, for non-football. So don't have to, but definitely benefits them for playing in the ACC. Micah Shrewsbury's in year 2 here, right? He's looking to build on last year. This year, they started out pretty nice in Torvik, 69th. Nice, for sure. They ended the season in Torvik at 101.
That's a big drop.
That is a big drop. I mean, you started out so nice, and then you end at 101. So, not the direction you want to be going, that's for sure. But they had some things that obviously impact that. Marcus Burton was hurt for a portion of the season. Braden Shrewsbury was hurt for a portion of the season. And I think they just lacked a couple of pieces, and their upcoming recruiting classes, their freshmen are supposed to be filling those holes. So what did Bart Torvik, what did his algo say that they were going to do? They were going to go 17-14 according to him, go 10-10 in the ACC, and finish 11th. We thought that they would go 9-2 in the non-con, 12-8 in the ACC, and finish 21-10, which would have been in this awful ACC, which we didn't know how terrible it was going to be at that point.
Facts.
Like if they had played to kind of like what we thought that they could do, this team probably could have finished like fourth.
Yeah.
Marcus Burton never gets hurt. This team's fourth.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't. I don't think he was hurt for ACC games, maybe one or two, but like they could have been a lot better. So their actual record was 15-18, and they went 8-12 in the ACC, which is tied for 9th with Pitt, Florida State, Virginia, and Virginia Tech, teams that were all non-factors all season in the ACC race. I mean, you weren't Louisville, you weren't Duke, you weren't Clemson. Those are the teams that mattered. North Carolina was like a fourth. Those are the teams that mattered in the ACC. Mm-hmm. And you weren't them, so like that's kind of disappointing. They returned 7 people who got more than 15 minutes per game, and they returned 4 of their 5 starters. So they brought back Marcus Burton, Braden Shrewsbury, Tay Davis, Keba Jai, J.R. Knesny, Julian Roper, and Logan Imes. And then they brought in Matt Alaco is the one that we thought was going to be huge, and then a couple of freshmen. Marcus Burton, obviously their leading scorer. Duh. He missed 7 games, according to this. He missed 7 games. Tay Davis played in all of them, all 33. He had 15 points per game. Burton averaged north of 20.
Sneaky fact, Tay Davis, Julian Roper, only 2 players that played in all 33 games.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. I mean, Matt Alaco had like a wrist injury at one point. He only played 26. Braden Shrewsbury only played. Weird that it's like 26, 26, 26 for like all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But Braden Shrewsbury was 14 points per game, so like big jump for like a pretty decent jump for him. And then Matt Alaco was a knockdown shooter that was very important. And then Keba Jai was instrumental too, with almost 6 boards per game and 6 points per game. We were pretty high on them after we saw them absolutely beat the brakes off of Purdue Fort Wayne in an exhibition. Like, yeah, it is Purdue Fort Wayne. It's not a power conference team, but we thought Purdue Fort Wayne was going to be very good. We'll talk about that in a little bit. They were playing in Vegas, so they had to play Rutgers, Houston, and Alabama, and we thought that they could handle their own there. But ended up, Burton got hurt very first game against Rutgers in the Players Era Festival. Lost the very first game. He gets hurt, and then they proceed to lose to Houston and Alabama. So didn't get any games there, but their final game of the regular season was legit because it was a quadruple overtime win over Cal, 112-110, which was so good, dude. Like, such a good game. 56-54 over Stanford the game before that. I just wish both of those games met more. They won at Virginia for the very first time ever, I believe, 74-59. So Tony Bennett left, and Micah Shrewsbury was like, finally, it's Notre Dame's time. And then they won at Georgetown in November, 84-63. And then, like I said, Burton got hurt, so they went 0-3 in the Players Era Festival. So we kind of talked at the beginning of the season, and we're like, okay, if they can make the NCAA tournament and finish top 6 in the ACC, that would be a successful season. Like, they were 6th preseason. 6th in the preseason in the ACC was Pitt. Pitt also finished tied for 8th. But no, Marcus Burton got hurt, and then they just didn't have enough star power on the roster, I guess, to kind of make that jump. So we said make the NCAA tournament. They were not sniffing the NCAA tournament. They were 9th instead of 6th in the ACC. So didn't meet their goals, I would say. Would you say they didn't meet their goals?
I would agree.
Successful season. It wasn't like a completely lost season, but
it kind of existed.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton to get excited about.
Yeah.
So,
except for when they were getting all those prospects signing to him throughout the year.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in probably a couple months.
Yeah. Eventually. One of these days.
So moving on to Purdue Fort Wayne. They play in Fort Wayne. They're in the Horizon League, and they are coached by John Kaufman, who was coaching his 11th year as the head coach, where he had the most wins in program history going into the season. So he tacked onto that a little bit this season. Preseason ranking, they were 181 according to Torvik, and they finished 170. So definitely went up. Preseason projected record 18-12 overall, 12-8 in the conference, which would have had them in fourth place, but tied for second. Just based on how the tiebreakers were. Again, I don't believe their final record reflects. It does. Their full record is there, but they ended up with an actual record of 19-13 and 12-8 in the Horizon League. So hit that bar from the preseason projection for conference game wins and losses, but then outperformed their wins in the actual season.
Yeah.
But they finished fifth in the Horizon League. So just shy of where their projections were there. We did have them going 15-5 in the Horizon League. That unfortunately did not happen. But they had a tough go of it. Key returners: Rasheed Bello, Jalen Jackson, excuse me, my lisp came out. Quentin Morton Robertson, and Eric Mulder. Those were 4 of their 5 starters from the previous season. Expected them to make a huge impact on this team this year. Key newcomers: Chandler Cuthrell, Trey Lewis, Davion Laverne, excuse me. And then freshman Mason Trout, Jordan Lomax. Who were the guys? Who were the dudes? Jalen Jackson, far and away their best player. Rasheed Bello, right there behind him, with 4 points less.
That's just funny. You're like far and away, and then right behind him.
Well, I mean,
they were definitely a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, but I'd say Jalen Jackson, like he was their leading scorer.
Jalen Jackson, Rasheed Bello, line.
Yeah. Corey Hadnot had a great season. Not a guy we kind of were tracking going into the season. Q, great season as well. Eric Mulder. So of their 5 key players, 4 of them were also their starters from the year prior.
Yeah.
Then Cuthrell, Maximus Nelson, and Trey Lewis were also big parts of that team as well. Biggest wins. So they had a pretty tough non-conference schedule. They had to play UCF, Penn State, and Michigan all in that non-conference
and I feel
schedule.
like that was by design by Kaufman.
Yeah, he for sure wanted to play tough
games.
Teams. Their biggest wins were Southern Indiana. They beat them 93-74. They did beat Drexel 87-81. I believe that was in their MTE.
I think so.
Don't recall. They had a big win over Robert Morris, who ended up winning the league. That was 82-77. Then they beat IUND twice, 78-76, 91-80. So a close game and then a not as close game. Season goals: win the Horizon League tournament, win the Horizon League regular season. They had a first round loss to Youngstown State in the Horizon League tournament. So they did not win that.
Right.
We already said they finished 5th in the Horizon League. They did not win that.
Which we said this felt like not a win the league or bust, but like going into the season, this, I other than the year, a couple years ago when they were picked first to win the league, or they, were picked first to win the league, or they almost won the league, this is probably their best chance in a couple of years to win the league and make the NCAA tournament, and that's what we set our goals at, and I'm sure that's what their goals were, because they were picked tied for first by the media in the Horizon League, and that did not happen.
No.
And they were like one game away from hosting their first game in the Horizon League, which I think changes things. But they lost to Youngstown State, who they shouldn't be losing to, in my mind. So they didn't meet their goals, and I think this season was a little bit of a disappointment based on what I really thought that they were going to do.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I really thought like all year people were talking about like how good these people were. That's so funny that's on camera on the phone.
Is it really? Pick up.
That's so funny. And if you're watching on YouTube, you have no idea what just happened. But yeah, people were talking about this team as like a team that really could make the NCAA tournament and possibly hurt you if you play them in the NCAA tournament, how good their guards are. That didn't happen. So I do think, unfortunately, this is a disappointing season for the Dons. So
I would agree.
Didn't meet their goals, but you hate to see it.
Yep.
And I just want to see them make the tournament for the first time ever. It's killing me.
Yeah.
But let's talk about I do this every time. Let's talk about their sister school. Main campus location, Purdue, big Purdue, the big train. All right, in West Lafayette, coached by Matt Painter, obviously in the Big Ten. Matt Painter, legend. They started the season 17th in Torvik, and they finished the season at 15th. So Torvik had them going 20-11 and finishing the season 12-8 in the Big Ten. Which is crazy, because what was Indiana's according to Torvik? It was something like 11, wasn't it? 11-9.
Yeah, it was 11-9.
11-9, tied for like fourth. Purdue was projected to win the Big Ten in a 3-way tie with Michigan State and Rutgers. And you are glad you're not Rutgers. Projected to win the league, not even close.
Yeah.
So their actual record, they're 24-12, which is better than 2011, in case you didn't know.
I didn't. Math isn't my strong suit.
And that's looking at, they were 21-10 going, at the end of the season. So better there. And then 13-7 in the Big Ten. So one game worse there. But the Big Ten ended up having, some surprises on who was kind of good. So we were talking about like their non-conference was absolutely brutal. Again, by design, must be a Purdue schools thing where you just schedule really tough non-conference games. They had to play Alabama, Marquette, A&M, and Auburn, and so we'll talk about kind of who they beat in that section, but we were like, we think they could go 23-8, like probably take their first non-conference loss in 4 seasons, but I think they knew that was a possibility as well, because we
were pretty dang close on that.
We were, dude. We were pretty close. 23-8. What were they? 21-10. Yeah, that doesn't hurt. So people they bring back: Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Miles Colvin, Cam Heide, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Caleb First. Those are the ones that you were, like, okay, these are going to be the guys. You thought Wilberg was going to take over the Zach Edey role, and he would have, had he not been great. He would have if there wasn't a guy named Daniel Jacobson coming in, like he was a red shirt, 7'4" guy, and you're like, okay, another 7-footer. He'll take over the Zach Edey role because he's better than Wilberg. And then it's like, no, he broke his leg. Okay. Yeah. And so he doesn't get to play. Trey Kaufman-Wren's playing most of the season at the 5, where he doesn't want to be. Did exceptionally well there. But then they had freshman Jakari Harris and freshman CJ Cox being, I would say, exceeding expectations for freshmen, for sure, based on what people thought. Like,
yep.
Your leading scorer was Trey Kaufman-Wren at 20.
said faux show.
Faux show. Braden Smith was second, 15.8, but averaging 8.7 assists and 4.5 boards. Fletcher Lawyer added 13.8 points, and then go down to CJ Cox had 6, and kind of people coming in playing as like CJ Cox, Heidi, Harris, Caleb First were kind of guys that like would give you surprise points in some games and like hit 3 threes in a row or something, just like absolutely absurd kind of that. But one of them, no one there really emerged as like a legitimate super threat, which is kind of what we thought that this team would need. So they ended up beating Alabama 87-78 in November in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Then they beat Ole Miss 80-78. They beat Maryland, who was very good in the Big Ten this year. They beat them 83-78. They won at Oregon. They beat Michigan, just absolutely destroyed Michigan when Dusty May entered Mackey Arena for the first time as a Michigan coach, 91-64. They beat UCLA, who was also really good in the Big Ten. They beat them by 10. And then they beat McNeese, the darling of the NCAA tournament. They beat them in the second round, 76-62, and were a foul call away from beating Houston, who went to the Final Four.
Yep.
And so season goals
and the Natty.
Yeah. Yeah. who should have won the national championship if they had not dissolved in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Our goals for them were win the Big Ten and make the second weekend again. At least top 2 or 3 in the Big Ten, if by like 1 or 2 games. They were. Where did they finish in the Big Ten? I don't think I wrote that down. Fourth. Tied for 4th. So like that's pretty close. And then should only take a small step back. Was kind of our thing. Like they could win the Big Ten again, but it's no way is it like a guarantee. So I would actually say like they made the second weekend, and they did it with their guy that was going to replace Zach Edey having a broken leg, and they almost made the Elite Eight, and then probably would have made the Final Four.
Yeah,
if they had beaten Houston, like it would have been Purdue and Tennessee again, and I think Houston had no problem with Tennessee, so I think Purdue probably would have been okay. I mean, different play styles entirely, but
yeah,
I think that this team goes to the Final Four if they get that call correct. And so I would say that, they went up in Torvik. The record a little bit worse than projected, but I think that this was a successful season.
I'd say so.
Especially in like they technically didn't meet our goals, but I think it's successful regardless.
Yeah.
And would have felt even better had they beaten Houston. So
true.
Good season for Purdue, and might be their third best season in the last like 3 years.
Yeah.
Based on what's coming next year. So let's move down farther south to the Central Time Zone. That's right. Not Evansville, the school, but Evansville, the city. Southern Indiana is where we're headed. They are in the Ohio Valley, and so they were in Torvik, started at 306. They moved down 30 spots to 336th. Torvik had them projected going 14-16 and finishing 10-10 in the OVC, finishing 5th. They went 10-20. And they went 5-15 in the OVC, which means they finished last. Which, I mean, brutal, man. Just a brutal pull for them, right? Like, we expected them to go 12-8 in the conference and not lose at home.
Yeah.
Because we heard about some people like, we thought Ryan Hall, Jack Milkey, Jack Campion, our boy, Sam Mervis, and Nick Hiddle were the returners.
Mm-hmm.
And we had no idea what to expect going in. So like when we did our preseason, like we had heard about Sam Cody, Braxton Jones, Stephen Olawani, Jaden Scheider, Jalen Randall, Damani Harrison, Jared Washington, Alex Haruk. A bunch of JUCO guys, 5 JUCO guys in there, and we're like, dude, I don't know who's gonna be good. we basically get to hearing before the season starts that like the big three here is Damani Harrison, Jalen Randall, and Stephen Olawani. Like those are the big three.
Yep.
Of Southern Indiana. And so it's like, okay, how did they do? Well, Damani Harrison averaged 15 points a game. Jalen Randall averaged 15 points a game. Stephen Olawani averaged 13.9 points a game. Oh, who was their next leading scorer? Technically Jared Washington at 6.5 points per game, but he only played in 14 games. So of impact guys, it was Jack Milkey at 6 points per game, which is averaging to 2 3-pointers a game for him. So big drop off after the big three. Like Jack Campion, brought in 4.3 assists. Like incredible guard for them. Incredibly clutch when they needed him. But other than that big three, like it was a big drop off. And when they if you could take them out of it or just limit the other two people on the court, it was kind of GG's for them. So they literally got beat by DePaul because they did not get the call when they were trying to foul up 3 in the very first game of the season, and that is bull. They should have beaten DePaul. We should have been talking about Indiana beating DePaul to start the season 2 years in a row. They did beat Indiana State in November 87-77, and then they won versus Southern Illinois University Edwardsville SIUE 82-68, and then they only beat one team ranked better than 200 all year, and that was Indiana State. So they didn't have a lot of signature wins.
Yeah.
They had some close ones, not nearly as many close ones as the year prior, but our goals were finish top 3 in the OVC and make the OVC tournament semifinals. This team was never going to the NCAA tournament because they literally could not.
Yeah.
They were never going to the NCAA tournament. We wanted them to get into something, the NIT, the CBI, the CIT.
They wouldn't be able to be into the NIT.
Oh, really?
Because I'm pretty sure their eligibility is the NCAA and NIT tournaments.
Okay, so I want to let them see them get into something. They not even close.
Yeah, no.
They only the top. It's like the MAC. Only the top 8 teams make the conference tournament, so they didn't even make the conference tournament. Mm-hmm. And the conference tournament is in Evansville. Yeah, it's at the Ford Center, and they did not make the conference tournament there. So, I think by any way you look at this season was not a success. You didn't build on last year. You finished worse in the Ohio Valley.
Yep.
So they didn't meet our goals, and I would call this season unsuccessful. And now all these people are gone.
Yes. Yeah. That leads us to our last school, Valpo, which is located in Valparaiso, Indiana. They play in the Missouri Valley Conference and are coached by Roger Powell Jr. in his second year in the preseason. Their ranking via Torvik was 254. Come the end of the season, their ranking via Torvik 207.
That's pretty nice.
That's a nice jump. That is a nice jump. Their projected preseason record and conference ranking was 13-18 overall, 7-13 in the Valley, and that was 11 out of 12 in the Valley. That's what their conference ranking is, where they would have ended with that record. Their actual record, 15-19 overall, 6-14 in the Valley. They did finish 11th. So they exceeded the overall record, purely because of the postseason. I think is really how it breaks out. Yeah, I think the postseason is what that is. So hey, they built on that. We did think they'd be 19-12 and 10-10 in the Valley. So not quite what we thought, but we were also really positive on them going into the season.
And we do need to say that we thought
Isaiah Stafford would be playing.
This was all saying that Isaiah Stafford was going to be playing.
Yes. Spoiler alert, he did not. But their key returners were Darius Diavero.
Nor will he ever again.
Isaiah Stafford, Cooper Schwieger. The key newcomers, Carson Swieger, twin brother of Cooper, Tyler Schmidt, Devin Ellis, and then we had freshmen listed, all right, Justice McNair, and Nick Lombardi. That was who we thought, would be those key folks going into the season. After the season panned out, the actuals were Cooper Swieger, their leading scorer, with 15.8, just a touch above freshman All Right, who had 15.5. Then Jefferson De La Cruz Monegro, not a guy that was really on our radar much, but absolutely popped off. He averaged 10 points a game. And then Tyler Schmidt, transfer from Valpo, the city Valpo, had 10.1 as well. Then there was a bit of a drop-off, so the team was definitely carried by those 4 players. We kind of expected Stafford to be one of them, if not be that fifth guy. He unfortunately didn't play, so he was not. Key games. Based on the regular season, their only really big, I think, signature win was Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
They beat 80-73. Northern Iowa, I think, finished second.
I think
in the
so.
Valley. Was really good. Was a team that I think definitely could have won Arch Madness. But then they picked up 2 huge wins in Arch Madness. They beat Illinois Chicago 67-50. Then they beat Northern Iowa again.
Yeah, because they played
64-63.
2 seed, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Second round.
So those are big wins in Arch Madness purely because All Right was just trying to will the team to win.
He was all right, man, in this tournament. He was all right.
He was absolutely balling.
A hero, an absolute hero in the tournament.
Yeah.
The Arch Madness.
Valpo was in the conversation. They became America's team for that week. But
when they barely lost to Bradley, yes.
Yep. Who played in the championship. Because it was the semifinals that they lost in. That brings us to our season goals. We had the goal of 500 in the conference and make the MVC tournament second round. Well, they did not hit 500 in the conference. They were 6-14, but they made the second round.
And
they made the semifinals.
The third round. They made the semis, dude, and they could have made the finals.
So, what do we call it? To me, successful season.
I think so. When you look at you look at how it ended, you're like, yeah, that was successful. You had some hiccups along the way, but you played Drake really close a couple times this year, almost beat them when they came to the Arc. But you ended up losing, and then you end up having an absolute amazing run, a historic run by All Right in the MVC tournament. And so I think it's successful. Didn't meet the benchmarks, but met the record prediction exactly. We're 1 game back in the league of where you thought you finished 11th. So you met those goals based on the computers, which are smarter than we are apparently, or just believe in them less than we do. So I would say it's just a successful season for me because the way it ended for Valpo, I was happy.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah. So that's the 20. That is the 2024-2025 season for us.
Yeah.
We're moving into the off season now, which is crazy just to think about. Which means we're going to start pivoting. We'll probably get Bracket Busters on here to talk some mid-major talk soon, if not next week. Talk about coffee, talk about that stuff.
Yep.
Oh, dude, I forgot to tell you this. My brother-in-law is talking to my brother-in-law at Easter, and he was saying that he just organically found the podcast. The algorithm served him the podcast.
That's incredible.
And he was listening to some Big Ten guys, and then one of our shorts came up, and I was like, "Let's go! We're getting there. We are getting there,
legit."
So that made me feel good that the algorithm is working. If you will watch enough Big Ten or Purdue content, you will get served our content eventually. It'll take some time, but it'll happen. So that was
and that is partly due to our viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
Because when you support us, when you like a reel, if you like a TikTok, if you retweet something,
Yeah.
it just helps us boost. It helps us get our name out more.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you could help by rocking our apparel that we talked about at the beginning of the episode. Yep. You know, every little thing. I'm wearing our in 49 States shirt, or the kind of oversized boxy shirt. I had like 3 different people at both my Easter celebrations last week ask me, they're like, what does that mean? It's like, let me tell you.
Oh, brother, what does it mean?
And then I, turned around, showed them the logo. They're like, can we buy your merch? I'm just like,
and you're like,
actually,
let me airdrop
yes.
you the link.
Actually, yes. So,
and I think the bigger, the more recognizable our name is, like, this is not even like a selfish thing to say that, like, I want our name to be big, is like the more access we will get to coaches, players, and like that directly benefits the content, which directly benefits you. Because if you want to hear like if you wanted to hear from All Right after the Arch Madness run, like if we had the poll, we could have made it happen.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, oh my gosh, All Right. And then, good jump on him. We could be those guys for you.
Yeah.
So we appreciate all the help. And we're looking to grow and break into that too. So.
Well, that's all I had for today.
Yep.
I think the clock is showing quadruple zeros. It's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next time. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.